In the world of My Hero Academia, Gigantomachia, or just Machia, is easily one of the most powerful villains in the world. A true unstoppable force, wielding multiple quirks, and only acts if his master commands it, whether that's All For One or Shigaraki. Uh, but can any one character from My Hero Academia stop him? Whether hero or villain, vigilante, whatever. Can one person stop Machia? Can any one person stop him? Well, let's find out. But firstly, let's talk about Machia. As All For One's personal security guard, he granted him several quirks and only listens to his master. The first and obvious quirk is his gigantification. He can grow up to 25 meters tall or 82 feet and is taller than Mount Lady. His other quirks consist of endurance. He can convert his morale into physical energy and stamina. Pain blocker does what it says, it blocks pain. Dog provides him with a heightened sense of smell and hearing. Energy Saver allows him to go all out while only using a small amount of his energy. Fierce Gains hardens his muscles significantly, increasing his strength and durability. And lastly, Mole. This allows him to grow massive mole-like claws and spines to burrow through the ground. He's strong enough to easily overpower Mount Lady and just throw her to the side. He easily caused a massive hole in a mountain and casually just bulldozed over pro heroes, Class 1A and 1B students, and entire forests and cities as if nothing was in front of him. Even when Mount Lady was pushing onto him and or holding onto his feet, he barely slowed down. Not to mention, he was breaking out of Best Jeanus's fabric restraints that was covering his entire body before a drug had finally kicked in. He doesn't feel any pain, essentially. Dobby's blue flames, which are harder than Endeavor's, did quite literally nothing to him. He can run over 60 miles per hour, and due to his stamina quirk, he can use all of his quirks simultaneously while non-stop running without tiring, at least not for several hours. Gran Torino even described him as a walking disaster, and I think that is a perfect way to describe Machia. But that's Gigantomachia. Now, let's see if there's any one character that can stop him. And there are. Here's a list of them. Firstly, All Might. All Might in his prime, to be exact. I'm gonna be honest, I'm not sure if the weakened All Might we saw on the show could stop Machia. But in his prime, I'm sure he could. Because before he was weakened by the injury that All For One gave him, he was roughly 300 times more powerful than what we saw in the show. We know this because of his fight with the USJ Nomu. He said afterwards that it took him over 300 punches to beat it, and that in his prime, he could have stopped it in just a few punches, so about 300 times more powerful. And even while weakened, he was still clearly the number one hero in Japan. Endeavor said the harder he worked, the wider the gap between them became. And that still remained true even after he was weakened. He ended all organized crime decades ago, beat countless villains including the Sludge Monster and the unstoppable USJ Monster that was created to kill him. And he beat All For One twice, a guy who killed most of the other One For All wielders. He's the greatest hero that ever lived, the symbol of peace, and I think All Might in his prime could definitely beat Machia. Next, we have Deku. Before Season 6, Deku would have been squashed by Machia. But now, my guy is operating on a completely different level, leagues above where he was in Season 5. Upon being able to use One For All at 45% in perfect unison with the other quirks he gained from the pest wielders, Deku is just operating on a higher level than All Might ever did. At least that's what he said, and Toshinori himself didn't disagree. Borderline agreed with him by not saying anything. And his other quirks are Black Whip, Smokescreen, Fajin, Float, and Danger Sense. As a vigilante, the guy was hungry and exhausted and running on empty, yet he basically just squashed Muscular and defeated Lady Nagant and other villains. Even all of Class 1A couldn't stop him with their quirks. Like, he busted out of Todoroki's heaven-piercing Ice Wall move and overpowered Dark Shadow's Ragnarok move. And it took a combined effort from most of the class just to outpace him. And this was him running on empty, tired and hungry, while only using One for All at 45%. Imagine him full energy, or imagine him willing to hurt himself, to bust up his body at 100%. This man has destroyed Todoroki's ice barrages, wrecked Overhaul in their fight. My guy, yeah, I think Deku could beat Machia. He would have to think outside the box. It wouldn't be easy, but for none of these guys, well, for most of these guys, it wouldn't be easy fighting Machia. I believe Izuku Midoriya could beat him. Next, we have Hitachi Shinso. This is a bit of a stretch, but just hear me out. I think Shinso could do it. It's a low possibility, but I think he could. His quirk is Brainwash. Once activated, when someone talks to him, they are brainwashed and under his complete control. Now, I know Machia only listens to Shigaraki and All For One, but Shinso wears this helmet that works as a voice modulator. Basically, he can make himself sound exactly like Shigaraki or All For One. Now, he has to know what they sound like and then adjust the modulator by hand, but if he did know what they sound like and could do this, he should be able to brainwash Machia and then just make him, I don't know, sit in the ocean for several minutes until he drowns or something. Something like that. It is a stretch, but I do think it's possible. Next, we have Awaken or All For One Shigaraki. So, yeah, Shigaraki could just tell Machia to stop, and he would, easy. But if he had to fight Machia, I think he could win, especially this version of him. He has multiple quirks, including Force Field Creating and Regeneration, just to name a few. But his original quirk, Decay, is significantly more powerful than it was. Upon activation, he destroyed about a third of Javo City, a massive city. Not to mention, Endeavor said that his physical strength and speed was comparable to All Might's. And while his quirks were erased by Eraserhead, his physical strength and speed alone were enough to allow him to fight against Endeavor, Deku, Todoroki, Bakugo, Gran Torino, and Ryukyu simultaneously. And because of his regeneration quirk, he withstood like 10 100% smashes from Deku, not to mention Endeavor's Pulse Ultra Prominence Burn attack that literally burnt him to a crisp. Not to mention, because of All For One, he can also take quirks as well. Yeah, Awakened Shigaraki can beat Machia. Next, All For One. This one is self-explanatory. He's the most powerful villain we've ever seen in My Hero Academia, with an arsenal of quirks at his disposal. He can take quirks and control Machia as well. He's killed most of the prior wielders of One For All and caused All Might's permanent injury as well as ended his hero career. Yeah, it's that simple. All For One can beat Machia pretty easily. Next on the list is Stars and Stripes. I had to go on the manga for this one. She's the #1 hero in the United States and is considered to be the most powerful woman on the planet. Her quirk is called New Order. After saying the name of an object and touching it, she can give that object a new order and warp the reality itself around it to make the new command come true. For example, she can make an empty box weigh several tons or make a laser beam solid. However, she can only do 2 orders at a time, and she usually reserves one of them to enhance her physicals. While not as physically powerful as, say, someone like All Might, she did send Shigaraki flying and shrugged off a shockwave and dodged an EMP and literally caught a laser beam. Like, she's still physically powerful. She's made the air around Shigaraki just disappear. After touching him and saying his name, she ordered that if Shigaraki moved, his heart would stop. The only reason this didn't work is because he was in the process of merging with All For One and had an identity crisis. She's molded the atmosphere to create a construct of herself that was 1,000 times bigger than herself, and this move was called the fist bump to the earth. She then solidified a laser beam into a big lance. As Tomura was stealing her quirk, she ordered that she won't decay from his power but this did wear off after he took it. And then at the last moment, she ordered New Order to rebel against any opposing quirks. This caused Tomura's body to literally explode from the inside out as New Order destroyed all his other quirks. However, this effect ended when she finally died. With this power and the versatility and possibilities with it, I'm positive she could find a way to beat Gigantomachia. Not easily, but like she can do a lot with it. I'm sure she can find a way to beat him. Next is another stretch, but I think it's possible. Eri Chizaki. She has one of the most powerful quirks in the world. Her quirk is simply called Rewind. She can rewind someone or something to any previous point in their life or in its existence or whatever. She straight up just accidentally erased her father from existence when her quirk manifested. Her power is what created the quirk erasing bullets. She was able to return Lemillion to a time where he had his quirk after he was hit with one of those bullets. She also allowed Deku to use One For All 100% without it destroying his body. If she can rewind Machia to a point where he just didn't exist, then yeah, she could definitely win. Granted, she would need to have enough energy stored up to do so, but if she did, she could beat Machia. This little girl could just beat Machia because her rewind quirk is just that insanely powerful. I don't know why All For One isn't after her. But anyways, lastly, Mirio Togata. With his permeation quirk, the dude can phase through anything. He has like perfect control over it as well, like you saw there in that GIF. Beautifully done. He can phase through anything. He can phase into Machia and like literally just F up his organs and whatnot. Brain, liver, heart, lungs, whatever. He still has those as he's still a human being. He could do that over and over again until Machia dies or whatever. Mirio Togata, aka Lemillion, could beat Gigantomachia. He would have to work for it. It would be difficult, but he could. He could beat Gigantomachia. And that is my list. Let me know if I missed someone and comment them down below. I would like to see if you think there was someone else. And while you're down there, why not go ahead and like and subscribe if you did enjoy. Leave a comment of what you thought on the video and hit the notification bell to be notified of all my future videos and all the great stuff. I truly do appreciate it, and I hope you guys have a great day. Peace.